Hey, do you want to pray?
Sure.
Alright, let's begin. In the name of the Father. What was that?
What?
Like, this thing.
The sign of the cross.
That's not the sign of the cross.
Oh yeah, what is?
Well, well, you go like, I don't really know what it is.
Exactly.
Maybe I could help with that.
Maybe I could help too.
No, get out of here. This is my show.
Ooh. My leg!
Hi, my name is Brother Syro, and today we're going to talk about the right way to make the sign of the cross. Before we get into the proper ways to make the sign of the cross, let me show you some of the strangest sign of the crosses that I've seen. Here's what not to do.
The chest poker.
The laser pointer.
The upside down T.
The exquisite dish.
The awkward wave.
The sassy woman.
Double time. The Usain Bolt.
The quickster. The ability to make the sign of the cross really quick.
Hey Mary, you want to see me do the sign of the cross? You want to see it again?
The I don't want anyone seeing me doing the sign of the cross, sign of the cross.
Gentle fist art. 8 trigrams, 64 palms. 16 tall! 32 tall! 64 tall!
So yeah, some of those were pretty bad, and unfortunately I've actually seen like half of them. Well, the other half is a little exaggerated, but I hope you get the point for my little demonstration. Well, what is this whole Catholic gang symbol looking thing? We got this sign of the cross. What is it? Well, the origins are very complicated. There's a whole history of its development, the way it kind of evolved over time. So I'm not going to really talk about that in this video. That's going to be probably for another video. In this video, I specifically want to talk about the right way, the proper way to make the sign of the cross, and the kind of two camps that we have, the Sharks and the Jets, the East and the West of the Catholic Church, and the two gangs that we formed with the sign of the cross. Alright, so let's begin with that. So from my quick research on the sign of the cross, I found 2 different ways to hold your hands when making the sign of the cross. So the first way comes from the East. The symbol that you make with your hands is has a Greek origin. We make the IXC, Iesos Christos Soter, Jesus Christ Savior, with our hands. And let me come up and show you what I'm talking about. So when making the sign of the cross in the Eastern tradition way, we have the pointer finger, which is the I. We have the thumb and the middle finger crossing to make the X, and then the middle finger kind of curved to make the C. So let me put it together and show you. Boom. Right there. So this. It also is the Trinity, the 3 fingers together. And notice how one finger is kind of extending forward. That's the first finger that hits you when you're making the sign of the cross, and the few points that you touch. And that's actually representing the second person of the Trinity, and that's Jesus, who the Son is the one who came down to us, is the first person to hit us. The next thing you can notice is the 2 fingers right here, the ring finger and the pinky. And those 2 together is representing the 2 natures of Jesus Christ, the humanity and the divinity. So this is very cool, but it's very deep. It has so much symbolism. The second way is the Western tradition, which is the open palm. And that's supposed to be the 5 wounds of Christ. And so let me talk about the two rival gangs, the East and the West, and the way they make the sign of the cross. The first part of it, there is some overlap. So it begins with, in the name of the Father, right? And we touch our foreheads. And when we touch our foreheads, we're kind of meditating upon the creative nature of God, right? Because to create something, I mean, we know this for ourselves. When we create something, a mind is behind that creation. If I did a painting, for example, there is a creative mind that put the painting together. And now apply that with the creation of the world, and we know that there had to have been some kind of mind. And now we come down, and we're at least supposed to be touching the chest, but let me help you deepen your faith. One thing that I've read is when you're coming down to, when you're saying God the Son, you're actually recommended to go down to your stomach, the belly button. This is representing the womb that God the Son came down to in order to be amongst us. God was incarnated and came down to the womb of Mother Mary and was with us as a result. And so we're looking at the great mystery of the incarnation. And then this is where the two camps split, and we have the East and the West. Let me begin with the more familiar amongst our Syro-Malabar Catholics, the left to right way. When we go from left to right, we're looking at a kind of different theological lens. The Western tradition seems to be obsessed with the crucifixion, and rightly so. This is important stuff. We're looking at how Jesus, when he died, he came down to the pits of Sheol, which is the kind of waiting place for the righteous. Those guys were waiting for the Savior. They couldn't enter into heaven because the Savior had yet to come. And so when Jesus finally came to be amongst us and died for the sins of all humanity, these people that were in the pits of Sheol were brought into heaven. That's the Western tradition. Now when we go over to the East, we see another kind of theological emphasis. This is, in fact, the more ancient tradition. Back then, all the Christians, if they were making the sign of the cross, they went right to left. One kind of practical reason doing so is when the priest was giving the blessing, the people that were receiving the blessing, they were tracing it the way they saw the priest giving it to them. So the priest would trace it this way, and so naturally people would be going from right to left. But there's also more to this. If you look at the scriptures, you see a great deal of importance on the right hand, the right side. When Jesus talked about separating the goats and the sheep, he put all the goats to the left and the sheep, the righteous, to the right. Jesus ascended to the Father, right hand. Again, right side. We're looking at this great deal of importance to the right. What does that mean exactly? We're looking at the glorification of God in the right. We're also looking at how right now the chosen people is the Jewish people, but then there's also this great mercy applied to this way of doing the sign of the cross. The Jewish people got salvation first, but then that salvation was given to the rest of us, the Gentiles. This small select group of people, the chosen people, the Israelites, were given salvation, but then that gets projected towards everyone else, the Gentile people. And that's why we got the salvation that we did. It's better not to get caught up with the right to left, left to right kind of stuff. The thing that we should get actually caught up with is, how are we making the sign of the cross? Are we doing it just robotically, some motion that we do? We see all the Catholics doing it, so might as well do some kind of gesture with our hands. Or should we take our time when making the sign of the cross? Should we meditate upon the creation, the incarnation, the great salvific act of Jesus Christ? I don't want to get into how complex it is, but it's so deep and rich in meaning, and there's so much we could think about, and it shouldn't be just belittled down to some gesture that we do. This actually is a ceremony. It's a ritual, it's a practice, and it's been passed down for many generations, many centuries. It's been around in the church, and it kind of defines us. I would say that the way we make the sign of the cross, in some ways, does kind of define the kind of devotion that we have. Don't be lazy about the sign of the cross. Make it with care. Take your time doing it. No need to rush. That, I would say, is the right way to make the sign of the cross. This is Brother Syro, signing out. Yeah, and I do Eastern way, just because Easterns are cool. Syro Malabar Catholic. If you liked that video, please subscribe to my channel for more updates about my videos on the Syro Malabar Church. Please like, share, comment in the section below. I hope to see you next time. Thank you, and God bless you.